Hi all, welcome to the final whistle for another match preview then. I'll be joined by Ed from the 1912 Exiles Newport County podcast. We'll get an insight into the opposition tomorrow night. Big game, innit? Is it revenge for the FA Cup back in the time that they beat us? I think so. I think we need the bragging rights in this one. They had it last time, but now it's round two. So bring them on. Guys, smash a like and subscribe to the final whistle if you can. It'd be really much appreciated. As always, we've just reached 550, so 50 to go to 600. Fantastic. Wherever you're watching, come and get involved. And let's get this show on the road, shall we? See you in a minute. Hi all, welcome to the final whistle for the Leicester City versus Newport County match preview. Tonight's guest will be the 1912 Exiles, a Newport County fans podcast. Ed will be joining me very shortly, but let's get a few good evenings in first. Haley, how are you? Hi, Kayson. How are you, mate? I'm good. Hello, Mayan. I'm good, thank you. Hayden, hello, mate. You going to the game tomorrow? I am. I'm going to the game. It's a big game. It's revenge time. They knocked us out of the cup once. Mate, they're not going to do it again. I hope not. We'll be talking with Ed, though, at the game at Rodney Parade. Hello, Simon. How are you? And let's get my guest in then, Mr. Ed from the 1912 Exiles. Ed, how are you, mate?
Good evening, Noswaitha. Good. Yeah, we all right? I think there's a lot of excitement and tension in the Newport County camp. We've had a difficult season at times, as we'll doubtless come on to, but there is something about cup competitions that we just really love. And as you've already said, we've got semi-recent previous form beating Leicester. It feels like a lifetime ago, and it was only just now when I was looking it up, and it was January 2019. But so much has happened, not just in the footballing world, but in the wider world since then, that it feels like a lifetime ago. But actually, yeah, you're only going back 3 seasons or so. So yeah, I think we're looking forward to another chance to cause a cup set.
I think you've just put it right, Ed. Let's talk about the last meeting between the two sides. You beat us 2-1 at Rodney Parade. What did you think to the draw, Ed, when you drawn Leicester in the FA Cup draw beforehand?
Well, looking back to that game, I mean, that came in a season and a time when we were just all over cup competitions. You know, the previous season we'd taken Spurs to a replay and very nearly beat them on live telly. We'd beaten Leeds the previous season. We then, we had that game against Leicester, which we won, which we'll talk about in a minute. We beat Middlesbrough the same season. Around that time we had Man City, I think, in the League Cup as well. So we were doing consistently well in cup competitions, which slightly kind of offset some occasionally shabby league form. But we were just a cup club. That's what we did and it was helped significantly by the Rodney Parade pitch at the time was an absolute pudding. And so, we would get first division clubs like Leicester coming along and saying, "Oh, we don't like your pitch very much," and being really snotty about it, and then we'd go and beat you on it. The pitch has now been massively improved, which is a good thing for those of us with Newport County season tickets, because it means that the club has tried to play better football over the last few seasons because we can now, whereas you couldn't when it was a mud bath. But it does mean that it's much more of a level playing field when the big boys come to town, which does make it a little bit less likely, I think, that we get cup upsets. But for this draw for the League Cup, I think most of us going into it, having won our first couple of ties, we're saying what we really want is a big club, a first division club, ideally away, so that we can tick off a ground that we've not been to. And sure enough, Leicester came out of the hat, and I think we were all very happy with that.
Yeah, we just wanted revenge. Let's just talk about the cup game last time round in the FA Cup. You beat us 2-1. You took the lead. Rashid Gazelle went and scored. We had Claude Puel as manager back then. He was under some right pressure. Podrick Hammond scored the winner from the spot after Mark Albrighton did what he did. And Newport went on and beat us. What did you think to that game then, Ed? Massive win for you lot, right?
It was huge. Because not only have we beaten a top flight side, but we've beaten a team who, were recent Premier League champions. So that was a fantastic thing to see. I think for many Newport fans, that is probably one of the top recent surprises that we've managed to spring. For me, I mean, everyone will remember Poricamond scoring from the penalty spot, and as soon as we got that penalty, we knew he'd bury it because he scored penalties. That's what he did. But for me, it was the opening goal, which was Robbie Wilmot, who we have a massive crush on collectively as a podcast. He's an occasionally frustrating player, but what he has always done is turn up for the big games, and that was one where he just scored a classic Wilmot goal, just cutting inside, finishing, and when the cameras are in town, you get the best out of him, and so I remember that very fondly because seeing a player who we love as a podcast doing the sort of thing that we want to see him do more regularly was great. And I mean, when Leicester got the equaliser, there was a sense of, oh well, never mind, we gave it a go. But the late penalty was just the drama that you want. So it was fantastic. Good turnout from Leicester fans, a full house at Rugby Parade. It was just one of the great results of many during that period. And I think the next round we had Middlesbrough and took them to a replay and managed to beat them here.
Yeah, I was there at the game at Rodney Parade. Embarrassing as a Leicester fan, to be honest, to lose to a small club. But these little clubs give it a good go, don't they, Ed? There's no disrespect on them. The FA Cup, it's a magic cup, innit? Anyone could beat anybody on the day, no matter what your division you're in. Like you say, you beat Middlesbrough. You went on to play Spurs, didn't you, after the Leicester game, I believe?
No, I think that was the previous season that we had Spurs. I mean, the thing is, this all kind of feels now like kind of ancient history and a very long time ago. And so I have to kind of unpack all of the bits of the game and piece it back together. But I mean, it was a good time. And I think, for a team like Newport, who most seasons we go into it thinking, well, aim for mid-table, if we get a run at the playoffs, so much the better. But the cup joy is the thing that tends to sell out the ground. Even when we've got to playoff semi-finals and playoff finals like we have in recent years, a sellout at Rodney Parade is a rare thing for a league game. So it is those cup matches that bring the crowds in and fill the coffers. And, without wanting to go too far into the dim and distant past, Newport spent a period in the early 90s, after insolvency and going bust, having to play our matches in Morton Marsh in England, not having our club in our city. And we lost a whole generation of fans, who didn't have their local football club playing here. So when you get those big cup games, you get kids coming along to Newport County games for the first time. And it's that then that gets them, we clawed back a lost generation through those cup ties.
Yeah, let's look at the opposition then. Newport County. I've done my research. League competition, League 2, table position 18th. The manager, James Robury. What was your thoughts on Michael Flynn leaving first thing then, Ed? Good manager for you lot, did well. Is it something you regret him leaving for Walsall, do you reckon?
Well, I'll start with Flynn, and then I might move on. Mike Flynn was the manager during that previous spell with all those cup games, including the one against Leicester. A solid manager in the 4th division, someone who understood the club, understood the city. He's a Newport boy. He played for us, and he did wonders. He saved us from certain relegation. I think we were 11 points adrift when he took over. Kept us up. He then gave us all those wonderful cup memories, filled the coffers. Spent it mostly well, not entirely. He signed some flops, but all managers do. Got us to 2 playoff finals, but for whatever reason, I think he felt he was owed a bigger job, perhaps than Newport County. He felt maybe he was owed more respect than he was getting at Newport County, and he was offered the job at Walsall. And I think he left with everyone's good wishes, but it was maybe the right time for him and for us as a club, because I think maybe he'd taken us as far as he could, not because of any shortcomings on his part, but we're all in workplaces where sometimes you think a manager maybe has been there a bit too long, or someone needs a fresh challenge. I'm sure he'll do well at Walsall, but there's pressure there in that job, but I think he'll ultimately succeed. So he was replaced just over a year ago by James Rowberry, another proper Newport boy, as we put it. He'd grown up in Newport.
Dream job. I believe
he'd been a ball boy and stuff for us in his youth, and he was the kind of golden boy of the FAW, the Football Association of Wales. I think he was the youngest person to complete all their badges and stuff, and he'd been coaching at Cardiff City, and he came in, did extremely well early on. We got off to a superb start under him. We were in the automatic spot at various points last season. And then it kind of slipped off towards the back end of the season, I think partly because the assistant he'd inherited from Flynn went off to go and join Flynn at Walsall. And I think he maybe lacked a wise old head next to him. And then that sort of poor form continued into the start of this season. So I'm sorry to do this to you, Jack, but your research is slightly out of date, because we parted company with James Rowberry about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
We did. So he's now moved on.
When I searched it on Google, it says James Rowberry.
No, that's all right. Well, I will give you what for you at least is some breaking news. So a couple of weeks ago, we appointed Graham Coughlin, who had formerly been a manager at Bristol Rovers and Mansfield, and a coach in various other places. After a short but intense recruitment process, and he's now had, let me get this right, I think 4 games in charge, 3 League, 1 Cup. And we're so far unbeaten under Graham Coughlin. So we've had wins at home against Colchester in the league and in the cup, and we had a couple of good away draws at Northampton and an away draw at Northampton and an away draw at Mansfield. That's it. So we're on good form. We've kept 3 clean sheets in the last 4, and there's definitely a sense of our form ticking up over the last few weeks. Under Graham Coughlin, we are much harder to beat. We play a slightly more direct style of football than perhaps we started the season with. And if we take a lead, we're very good at shutting up shop and holding on to it. So we're a different prospect now from what we were a couple of weeks ago. And I think a month ago, we looked at this game and thought, well, we'll go to Leicester, we'll give it a good go, and we'll lose, and that's fine. We can try and sort out our league form. But actually, we've sorted out the league form now under the new manager. So now we're thinking, let's go to Leicester and beat them. So it's a really good time from our point of view to be playing Leicester. I'd be interested to know how you feel it is at having this game at this, because this is one of your last matches before the World Cup break, right?
Yeah, the last cup game before the World Cup, yeah. It was interesting this year, though, regarding the Carabao Cup, why it was so late. Obviously, they had the draw early on, didn't they? Over a month ago, and I just thought it might be in October. But then when they said November, I was like, what? Like, is it really that long? But
well, that's it. Because we played our first couple of rounds back in August, and then the draw was made. You thought, great, Leicester, when's that going to be? Sort of mid-September or kind of early October? And they're like, oh no, it's November, which has been great for us because it's meant there's been lots of anticipation. I think we're going to take at least 1,500 odd fans up there, so there'll be a good turnout in the away end from compared to our usual away end. It's probably not as many as you get for top flight games, but we'll take a big crowd, and like I say, there's a lot of anticipation because I think we now think, if Leicester put out a weakened team, we might fancy this.
Yeah, when the draw came out, see, we were on like bad form sort of thing, and Newport would have thought, Matt, fancy our chances against Leicester. But then if you look at it 7 games on now, we're on really good form. Maddison, Tillemans, they're all performing to the levels they should be now, and it's a game where we want revenge from last time. We'd looked at the Newport game and thought, no, it's them again. We went straight back to the few seasons back and looked at the result. But I think this time round, potentially it could be a different game. I'm not saying Newport will be outclassed by Leicester, but I'm not saying it'll be too comfortable because that'll be overheading it. But I think Newport will give Leicester a good go. But with Leicester's form at the minute, it's 2 on-form sides, isn't it? So it makes for a good cracking game at the KP tomorrow night.
And from your point of view, is there a sense that this is a competition that Leicester could and should be trying to win? You're not gonna win the league again. You're not gonna be in relegation trouble, barring huge surprises. So is there a sense that this is one that we have a good go at?
I think with Brendan now, he made them mistakes at the start of the season. Obviously, we were on them losing runs and that. Now it's about taking it seriously and that. Now he's turned the form around. Well, he's turned a corner after everyone wanted him out. They've kept faith in him, shall I put it. Now, Brendan's come in his press conference and said he's going to take this seriously, this cup competition, and he actually wants to go and potentially win it. So we've won it quite a few times in our history. I believe Jamie Vardy hasn't won it yet, though. So it'd be one that Jamie Vardy would want to win before he retires. So he's won everything else in England, just not the Carabao Cup yet. So hopefully this season we can give him that, and then, well, the Champions League ain't going to happen, is it yet? So that might be after he retires. But yeah, I think it's a game that Brendan, I believe he said he's not going to make many changes for this one. So I think it'll be a one for you where you'll see a very good Leicester side. You'll see Jamie Vardy. You'll see, I don't think Danny Ward's going to play. Who else do I think will play tomorrow? Wilfred Ndidi will come back in, I think. But I don't think it'd be wholesale changes like 9 or 10 changes. I think this time we'll take it seriously. But what's your thoughts on Leicester, Ed, as a Newport fan going into this one then?
Well, we know that we're going to be up against a good team. The critical thing is how strong a side it gets put out. I think many of us looked at it and thought, at this point in the season, are Leicester really going to be prioritising this? And like you say, when the draw was made, certainly there was a sense of, well, this is probably not a priority. I think, as the games got closer, we felt more confident about our own status going into the game, but have probably also thought, are we going to be up against a potentially stronger side than we had anticipated? But there is a sense, I think, amongst Newport fans that era of huge cup upsets and us just being able to beat anyone in the cup competitions has maybe passed. We were brought back down to earth with a bump last season when we had Southampton in the first round of the League Cup, and many of us turned up to Rodney Pro going, right, here we go, let's knock another top flight club out of a cup competition, and they spanked us 8-0. And that was in some ways quite a salutary lesson in reminding us that, for all of the fun of the cup upsets, there is the reason why they're a surprise is because most of the time the big boys win. And although we've done well to progress this far, I think going to Leicester and winning may just be beyond us. But what you will find tomorrow night is you'll be up against, in many ways, a kind of archetypal 4th division outfit. We'll set up in a 5-3-2. We will play not long ball, but quite direct stuff. We get the ball. We don't tend to have loads of possession. We tend to cede possession to the opposite team. But when we get it, we move it forward quickly. We try and do something with it, try and create chances, and hit teams very, very quickly on the counter. And we've got some big physically strong players, particularly up front. You've got Omar Bogle, Will Evans, the sorts of players who will, if you decide to, let's put out a teenage centre half and see how they get on, then we'll hand them their arse. But so we're big and strong and competitive up front. Midfield, there's a bit more of a blend. So the other thing I say is we've kept the same starting 11 for the last 4 games. I would expect we may keep that the same tomorrow night and then maybe make changes at the weekend. So there's definitely a sense of a settled team. Everyone knows their job. Everyone knows the people around them. If they make a mistake, they know that the chap next to them is going to clear up. So we'll be hard to beat. I think there may only be 1 goal in it.
Yes. What's your thoughts on your season? Your 18th. What was your ambition at the start of the season, Ed, as a Newport fan? Where did you actually think you was going to finish? Obviously, you're up in them playoff places quite a lot, weren't you, over the last few seasons competing? What was your thoughts, Ed, of the start of the season? Where would you have thought they was actually going to finish? And what's your thoughts on the season so far?
Last season, we played some incredible football at times. Some of the best football I've seen at Rodney Parade. We had a striker in Dom Telford, now of Crawley, who scored 26 goals, I think, last season. First player to hit that many since John Aldridge for us. We had 3 incredibly gifted and talented young midfielders on loan. We had Ollie Cooper from Swansea, Jake Kane from Liverpool, and Finn Azaz from Villa. And they were, they will all go on and play at a much higher level. But even with 3 of the most talented creative central midfielders I've seen in a long time and our best striker for a generation, we still only finished 11th. So we knew we weren't going to be able to replace that sort of quality straight away. So I say going to this season, 14th, it's going to be a transition season. It's been more of a transition season than even I had expected because of the managerial change. But I think we'll end up being mid-table somewhere, which makes a cup run even more important for us, because I think now, particularly having settled things a bit under Graham Coughlin, we're not going to go down. We may have a run in the FA Cup, who knows? But I think most of us are looking at it and thinking we probably need to save our best 11 for cup games, because let's try and get some money in the coffers so that we can strengthen a bit in January and at the end of the season, and let's try and get Rodney Parade rocking again and for home games. So this felt like a transition season going into it. We've had more turbulence than we expected. I think things are now settled. I think we've got the nucleus probably of quite a good side here, but we need to strengthen a bit. We lack some midfield tenacity, and we probably our defense is still a bit of a work in progress. But we're looking much better now than we were in August, September.
And do you miss the striker then in Podrick Hammond?
We had Podge as a kind of great, fox in the box sort of striker. We had Dom Telford as a great fox in the box striker. What we've got now is slightly different. So Omar Bogle is big and strong and causes people problems, and he'll get plenty of goals from headers and penalties. We've got his partner in recent games has been Will Evans, who we signed from the Welsh leagues, Bala Town, I think he was with, who is another strong lad, powerful left foot on him. They seem to be combining well. What we don't really have this season, well, I say we lack a bit of pace. We've got Afrandi Zanzala who does offer us that, but he's been injured. I think he's only played 1 or 2 games all season. That lack of pace up front is a bit of a problem at times, but we'll sort it.
Very true. Let's go on to the game then. Leicester Newport. Let's have a look at a stat. In all competition, head to head, we beat you 3 times. You beat us 1-1 draw. 3 of them have been in cup competition. 2 of them have been in league competition. Interesting stats, isn't it, that Leicester's leading this one in stats, but stats mean nothing. They go out the window for this game, don't they, Ed?
Yeah, and I mean, if we played each other in the league, I suspect it was before you were born. It was probably before I was born. Yeah. So I'm not sure how much the current crop of players on either side are going to really be paying attention to that. But there are still quite a few players in our squad and in our starting 11 who will remember that game from January 2019. And so I should imagine there'll be more players in an amber shirt than in a blue shirt who will have that in their mind. But there's going to be a few on both sides who will want to, refer to that, I would imagine.
What's your team selection then, Ed, ahead of the Leicester game? What team's Newport going to put out?
I'm expecting us to stick with that tried and tested lineup that we've had from the last 4 games. We may choose to make 1 or 2 changes just to rest players who we might bring on. But I would imagine we'll start with Nick Townsend in goal, who's a solid 4th division keeper. You know, he makes mistakes, but if he didn't make mistakes, he wouldn't be playing in the 4th division, but he's fine. Left back is likely to be Adam Lewis, who we've got on loan from Liverpool. He's a young lad, quite slight, but he's come on a little bit in the last few weeks, and he'll bomb down that left wing back position. Right wing back will be Cameron Norman, who is a proper shit out, if I'm allowed to say that on here, of a 4th division player. He loves it. He absolutely loves causing havoc, and he can cross the ball fairly well and will cause some issues. Backline, big Mickey Dimitri, centre back, who's as solid a player as you will get at this level. Priestley Farquharson, who's another one who's come through the Welsh leagues and is improving with every passing game, and I think will be a big part of our side for a while to come, and James Clark. So that's the back 3. Central midfield. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me, because we'll play Scott Bennett, who is a proper kind of water carrier, central midfielder, does all the hard work. Our local newspaper wrote of him last season. I think this is really true. He's the sort of player who only ever gets a 7 or 8 out of a 10, but he allows the players around him to get 8s, 9s, and 10s. So he does the hard work and allows the players around him to do the glamorous stuff. And then the 2 creatives with him will be, I think, James Waite, another one who's come through the Welsh leagues, having previously been with Cardiff City, and Nathan Mariah Welsh, who we've got on loan from Bournemouth. Now, Mariah Welsh has shown some flashes of genius this season, but has been a little quieter in the last few games. So I feel like he's saving up a big performance. So he's the one I think might just do something out of the ordinary, something extraordinary tomorrow night. And then up front, Omar Bogle and Will Evans are the 2 I would expect. Who, like I say, if there's a physical battle to be had, they're going to win it.
I think with Leicester, we'll put Daniel Iverson in goal. I think we'll play Luke Thomas, Soyun Chu, Johnny Evans. I think Castagna will play in a back 4. Dewsbury Hall, Tillemans, and I don't think he'll start Madison. So I think it'll be Ndidi. And then I think he'll go with Albrighton, Vardy, and Iheanacho. I think he'll give Harvey Barnes a rest. And give Daka that rest out of the weekend. Score a big game against West Ham at the weekend. So, but I think that it's a team that potentially should beat Newport, but you can never overlook Newport as a side. Anyone could beat anybody in Cup, and you've got to respect your opposition. You can't overlook any opposition in any of the competition leagues. So we're not like Man City, you know what I mean? They'll just put a team out and think, oh, we've won this 5-0, you know what I mean? Leicester's always one of them teams. It's fans where you look over your shoulder because you don't know what's around the corner from that opposition side. So I think you'll have a few chances tomorrow night, but I think it'll be a game where you've got to take them. If you don't take them, Leicester will punish you in it. So, and we're at home as well, so the crowd's got to get up for it.
That's the great thing about cup games, though. It is all down to who takes their chances. If the minnows get one chance and take it, and the big boys get half a dozen and don't, then that's where the shocks come in. So, I mean, I think the big battle is likely to be, who's marking Jamie Vardy? I would imagine it will be either Mickey Dimitri or Priestley Farquharson. And they are both players who, on their day, you can imagine marking Jamie Vardy out the game and giving him nothing. Equally, they're the sort of players who might make a mistake, might make a slip, and then suddenly we're on the back foot. So that's the matchup I'll be watching closely.
Yeah. Key players then. Who do Leicester need to look out for?
Well, the one I've already mentioned, Nathan Mariah Welsh, who, central midfielder. he's a little bit young, a little bit raw, but he looks like he's got the Midas touch at times. Yeah, he scored a cracking goal early on. He's put in some good performances. He's one I feel could be saving up a big performance for a big night like this. The other one I am really admiring every time I see him. He's made some improvements. Will Evans, who, yeah, like I say, he played, I think, for Cardiff Met and then for Ballatown in the Welsh leagues. And Newport was his kind of big break, if you like, signed for us over the summer. But although he's still relatively young, he's played a lot of games of football at a reasonable level. He's done stuff and won stuff in the Welsh leagues, and he's made that step up extremely well. He's big, strong, athletic, has a great left foot on him. Doesn't take any nonsense off defenders. He knows where the goal is. He's one who, it may not be tomorrow night, but I feel at some point soon he is going to absolutely batter someone's defence and come away with a match ball, because he just is starting to look like a real find.
Yeah, I just hope that ain't us. I think, Leicester will put a strong team out. We need to, because where we are in the league at the minute, it's kind of like, are we going to make Europe or we not? We'll see. But, we're going into the World Cup, so I think we've got players now who really need to start playing games, and because they'll be wanting to play for their countries, won't they, come the World Cup, Tillemans and all them. And I think, a big team against Newport will mark its game. The one I want to ask you then is, Ed, is score prediction.
I mean, this is tough because, cup games, like you said earlier, the format goes out the window. Who knows? I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I think one goal will probably be enough, because we're pretty mean in defence. I don't think we're going to give you loads of chances. And I can see us raising our game for it. I think probably on the night Leicester are going to be slightly too strong. So I'm going to say 1-0 Leicester. But I can see it. I can genuinely see it being a really enthralling contest. And I hope that, whatever happens, there's some good memories for it from the Newport fans who are making the trip up, and I'm sure they'll be given a warm welcome by the Leicester faithful.
Yep. I think it'll be a battling game. It's a game where Leicester needs to take their chances. Both sides do. I think we'll win 4-0. I think 4-0 is the score. I don't think we'll get 6 or 7 like Man City think they'll get against these teams. I think 4's a generous sort of score for me. If Vardy can get his goal-scoring boots on tomorrow then and actually perform against Newport, then I think in front of goal 9 times out of 10 he scores. But we never know with Demetrio. He could be one of them defenders what could potentially take Vardy out and then mark him all game, and then somebody else comes in through that back of that defence like a Perez or somebody who can potentially put Newport to bed. So, I'm going to go 4-0. Let's have a look. Evans could possibly get a run out. Fantastic. But Ed, quickly tell everybody where they can find you then, mate.
If you Google 1912 Exiles podcast, you'll find us. We are the original, the biggest, the best Newport County podcast. It's always lovely to hear from opposition fans. We'll doubtless be doing a bit of tweeting during tomorrow night, and we'll look forward to speaking to you at some point in the future next time we meet in the cup.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Ed. Pleasure, pal.
Pleasure.
And good luck for the season.
Thanks. Diolch yn fawr.
Cheers. That was Ed from 1912 Exiles. Go and check their podcast out on the podcast thing on iPhones and that. It'd be a good listen. I've listened to the Leicester match preview, so that'd be a fantastic listen if you want to listen to their preview. 2-0 City. Good show. Thank you. Is there going to be Newports in the stadium? There will be. How can you find how many away fans will be? I think Newport, like Ed said, are going to bring about 1,500, but that's a good following for a League Two club coming to the King Power. It's a massive game for them, and it'd be one that they'll relish. Guys, as always, smash a like on the stream tonight if you've really enjoyed the stream. Also, go and hit that subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed already and you're new, go and subscribe to the Final Whistle. Push that notification button. It will tell you every time we are live. And thank you to everybody who's watched tonight. Coming up on the Final Whistle then, what have we got? So we've got the Matchday vlog, which will be out on Wednesday. We've also got the Cup Draw. We might do a live Cup Draw stream. Also, we've got the Premier League prediction show coming up on Thursday, and on Friday we've got the match preview as Leicester take on West Ham, the last Premier League game before the World Cup. So hopefully we can potentially get 3 points in that one. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys, as always, and really hope you've enjoyed the show. This is Jack from the Final Whistle saying good night, and come on, you Foxes, up the city.